Hi, welcome along to World Cup Daily, the show that talks about and discusses the World Cup and Arsenal transfer news. And it's the big one tonight, the first of the semi-finals of the World Cup. We're nearly at the end of it, all the games that we've been having over the past few weeks, and it's coming down now to the last four teams, and it doesn't get much bigger than the game tonight. Brazil versus Germany, two powerhouses in world football, and it is so difficult to pick out who is going to come out on top. Germany seem to be most people's favourites. I was on a podcast a couple of days ago, AFTV podcast, and everybody seemed to be going for Germany. Although in that podcast, I'm still going for Brazil. I've gone for them from the start of the tournament, and I still fancy Brazil tonight. Let's take a look at some of the stats. Now, listen, Brazil, and this is an unbelievable stat, have not lost a game in Brazil at home since 2002, and that was against Paraguay. 2002 was the last time they were beaten on home turf. Now, that is a phenomenal record that Germany are going to have to get past. Brazil have played some decent teams on their run to the semi-final as well. They've got past Chile, they've got past Mexico, they've got past Colombia, Croatia. So played some very good teams, although they haven't always been convincing. They've been very reliant on Neymar, and of course Neymar is out of this game, and Thiago Silva, of course, their other talisman and great defender, is also suspended from this semi-final. So they're going to be missing two key players, but I still think they can step up. They'll probably shift Oscar infield and bring in either Willian on the wing or maybe Bernard. So they'll be pretty effective without Neymar. And listen, with that crowd behind them and referee decisions going their way, which happens when you play at home, it's going to be very hard to get past Brazil. But if there's going to be one team that can get past them, it's going to be Germany. Listen, Germany at times in this tournament have been very, very convincing. Remember that victory over Portugal. They looked brilliant in that game. But then in other games, they haven't been that convincing. Against Algeria, against USA, against Ghana, not very convincing at all. So it's really touch and go to see who's going to get through. Of course, they did have a good victory in their last game against France, but it's so hard to call this one. I'm still slightly edging on the side of Brazil. And not to forget that there's going to be three Arsenal players being represented tonight in Mesut Ozil, Per Mertesacker, and also Lucas Podolski playing for the German national team. So it'd be great for them if they could get to the final. And it's such a close game. Thomas Müller, of course, the main threat for Germany. The Brazilians, no doubt, are going to target him in a similar way to what they targeted James Rodriguez in the last game. And you can be sure that if he gets a touch, Müller, he's going to be going over to let them know about it. But it's such a big game. I'm really hoping tonight that Mesut Ozil is going to have a big game. He's sort of been on the periphery all tournament for Germany. He's kept it ticking over, good passes, contributed, but he hasn't really, taken a game, grasped a game by the scruff of its neck, and sort of, been that decisive player, which we know he can be. So I'm really, really hoping that this could be a game when we see the very best of Mesut Ozil, and listen, it has a knock-on effect for Arsenal as well if he plays well in the World Cup. We know he did score in that victory over Algeria, but he hasn't really lit it up this tournament like he has the previous ones. So going to be looking for big things from Mesut Ozil tonight. But who's going to win? I'm still going to go for Brazil. I think it's going to be a tight game, but I think I'm going to go Brazil just edging it. I can't even predict what I think the score's going to be, but I'm going for Brazil just edging that one and getting through to their home final. Let's get into the transfer news, and listen, it's all going to be about one person this week, and that is Alexis Sanchez. Now, we've learned sort of yesterday that Liverpool have basically completely pulled out of the deal now. They know for certain that the player does not want to go to Liverpool, and so it's a straight fight between Arsenal and Juventus. Arsenal are in the box seat. Arsenal have put the bid in. Arsenal have made all the moves. They've spoken to his agent. The player apparently doesn't mind coming to London, but Juventus do hover. They are a massive club, as we know, the biggest club in Italy, where, of course, Alexis Sanchez used to ply his trade with Udinese before he went to Barcelona, and they are definitely a live threat. Whether they're going to be able to stump up the sort of money that Arsenal have, which Arsenal put up £32 million, which in my opinion is a steal for such a world-class player. Whether Juventus are going to have that sort of money, whether Juventus are going to be able to say to him, right, you'll play most weeks. Because at Arsenal, I presume that, Arsene Wenger will say, listen, you're going to play almost every week. Whereas at Juventus may not necessarily be the fact. I mean, they've got Tevez there. They've got other strikers. I read where they're even at the moment, Juventus, the favourites to bring in Alvaro Morata. So where would Sanchez fit into that? I suppose he can also, as we know, play out on the right. But the strong money is on him coming to Arsenal. But as we know, Juventus could put a spanner in the works. Again, it could be a safer option for Alexis Sanchez. He may say to himself, well, you know what, I know Italy. I've played there before. I know the people. I know the culture. Possibly I can speak the language. Why would I come to England? There's nobody from Chile in the team, whereas at Juventus, Arturo Vidal's playing. There'll be nobody from Chile at Arsenal. I'm moving to a new city in London. What, shall I take the safer option and go to Turin, or shall I go to London? This is what it's all going to boil down to. But Arsenal are in the box seat to sign him, and the deal is edging closer and closer. And I think we're going to be finding out very soon, especially once the Suarez deal gets done. We're going to be finding out exactly what's going to happen. The conclusion of this, I think, is near. And on another note, I mean, I don't know if this were mock-ups or whatever, but it was all over the internet yesterday where a shop in Barcelona was selling the new Barcelona kit with the number 9, which Sanchez wears, but with Luis Suarez on the back. So that shows you that he's definitely on his way out of Barcelona, which, of course, remember, right from the start, he didn't want to leave Barcelona. He wanted to stay in Barcelona, but he's definitely on his way out. So where's it going to be? Is it going to be London, or is it going to be Turin? And it would be a massive coup for Arsenal if he comes to London, particularly when you think that, you know, he definitely could have went to Liverpool, because it could all have been part of the... I mean, that would have been, you think about it, Liverpool losing Luis Suarez, but if they was getting Sanchez back in return plus loads of money, that would have been a brilliant deal for Liverpool. As it turns out, all they're going to get is the money, and they're going to have to go out there and try and find somebody of the class of Suarez, which is going to be really difficult for them. So it could be a massive coup for Arsenal in the fact that one of their main rivals will be a little bit weaker, and that we will also be much, much stronger with a player that they wanted. So let's hope and pray that this is going to go through and that this is going to happen. The Matthew Debuchy deal, listen, this one looks almost nailed on. There were reports yesterday that he's already had a medical at Arsenal. Is it going to be one of these deals that are revealed at the kit launch? The kit launch for Puma, the brand new kit, is taking place on Thursday night. Now, is this going to be one of the signings, the first signings that they make to sort of show off that kit, or is it not? We don't know. But I've been told that Debuchy's already even had a medical at Arsenal. There were some rumours going around yesterday from a Newcastle newspaper that they would like to have Joel Campbell in exchange as part of the deal. I can't see that happening unless Arsenal sent him there on loan for a season maybe, or half a season. But I don't know. I'd like to see Joel Campbell come to Arsenal and ply his trade. And also, there was also a rumour saying that Newcastle wouldn't mind having Carl Jenkinson go the other way. Again, I don't see how that would make sense. We need 2 right backs. We know what Arsenal are like for injuries. We can't run the risk of that whatsoever. We're already looking a bit weak in the defensive department when it comes to numbers. We're going to have to get numbers in. So surely we won't let no numbers go out. The other rumour that's been going around today is about Juan Cuadrado. Now, I'm sure you remember him, Colombia winger, very, very good player, very, very technically brilliant. Now, the rumour out there is that Arsenal have made a bid for Cuadrado of about £22 million. It's like an opening bid from Arsenal. We're always making opening bids, but it's like an opening bid for Arsenal. But now we've heard that Barcelona have come into the fray, and Barcelona would really, really like Cuadrado. He's one of the stars of the World Cup, one of the stars of that Colombian team. He currently plays his football in Italy for Fiorentina, but they are saying that they want about 35 million euros for him, which is way above what Arsenal have already bid. Whether the Cuadrado, I mean, where would Cuadrado fit if Arsenal got Sanchez, or is this one of these sort of things where Arsenal are just covering themselves in case they don't get Sanchez? Then maybe Cuadrado could be the option. I don't know, but certainly the main target seems to be Alexis Sanchez, and all Arsenal fans out there are hoping and praying that this is not going to be another Gonzalo Higuain situation from last year, because it's very similar. It was very, very close to getting done, and then all of a sudden it just fell apart. I think the Arsenal board are going to be very conscious of that, and they're going to do all they can to get it over the line. Although, as I said, the person who's going to influence it most is the player himself and Juventus. If Juventus are serious and they come in, it's going to give the player something to consider. Let's get into some of your comments. 69KAPOO says, why is everyone forgetting that we have De Jure as a backup centre-back? Now, I don't think De Jure will be coming back. He played pretty all right, actually, in the World Cup. You hand it to him. He put in a couple of decent performances in the World Cup, but I think we could do without him. Harry 46 says, do you think Sanchez will play as a centre forward or as a striker? I think yes. I think, you know, that must be what Arsenal are thinking, that this guy can play. He's done it before at Udinese. He can play as a striker right down the middle, and that's where I'd love to see him playing. But interchanging, you know, going out onto the wing, coming back in the middle, interchanging. He's got that in his locker, and we can play that way, and that'd be a great way for Arsenal to play. Richard Skell says, this Sanchez deal seems more like an Ozil deal than a Higuain deal to me. Barca just waiting for Suarez, then Suarez will come through. Real has made Bale shirts too before it was confirmed. I mean, Suarez is definitely going to Barcelona. So, listen, as I said, it's all down on the whole Juventus and player thing. Mr. Andy7378 says, Robbie, what transfers will you be happy with? I'll get you getting this. I was on Twitter last night and I did a bit of a conversation on Twitter about transfers. And thanks, by the way, for everyone who took part in that. My fingers are hurting me at the end of the night. Hundreds of people. And I said that I'd be happy with Sanchez. I think Sanchez would be a marvellous, marvellous signing. Sanchez would be big. Somebody like Kadira or Javi Martinez or Lars Bender in the middle of the park would be massive as well. We need somebody in there. I say it every day. It's just as an important position as a striker. A goalkeeper like a John Ruddy from Norwich, somebody with Premier League experience, somebody who will test Chesney. I'd be happy with Debuchy, even though I was more sort of on the side of Aurea, but I'd be happy with Debuchy. And we're going to need a centre-half. Centre-half, I'm not sure of yet who we'd get, but of course, Corker is the player that I've looked at from Cardiff and thought to myself, yeah, he would be a good player, could come in and create good cover. So, listen, Sanchez I would be very happy with. That would be a great start. When you add him to the players we've got, to the Oxlade-Chamberlain, to the Ramseys, to the Wilshires, Ozils, all of a sudden we've got a really, really strong squad for next season. Alex George says, Ozil could persuade Kadira to go to Arsenal, both German and we're both at Real Madrid. That is true. Another thing that persuades players to move is money. Trust me, even more probably than friendship. But yes, that could persuade him to get here. Let's see who else we've got. Have we got Mikhail Pang here? He says, Robbie, do you think we still need Remy with the purchase of Sanchez? Yes, I do. I still think even if we get Sanchez, we're going to need another striker, and I think Loic Remy will be perfect as another striker, or maybe even somebody like a Jackson Martinez. I know it would be expensive, but listen, if we've got the money and this guy's got that prolific scoring record, why not take a chance? It's what Liverpool did when they brought in Suarez. He had a prolific goal-scoring record over there in Dutch football, which a lot of times clubs look on it and think, well, it's only Dutch football. We don't know how successful he's going to be. I think it's the same with this guy, Jackson Martinez. He's got a brilliant scoring record. We might have to take a bit of a chance on him, spend a lot of money to get him. But if he came in and he proved, you know, what he'd done in Porto, how awesome would that be for the team? And listen, we need a look at the squads that the other teams have. Look how many striking options they have. We need to have that as well. We cannot come up short in those departments where we were short in last year and it really cost us. Let me just do a couple more if I can. There's so many here. I'll just try to pick out a couple at random because a lot of you guys are asking more or less the same question. It's all about Sanchez. This guy here going on about Messi. No point in answering that one, mate. Forget that. Gustav Hellstrom here says, hey, Robbie, what do you think of our chances of signing Cavani? The dream signing, if you ask me. I don't think PSG are going to sell Edison Cavani. And even if they did, they'd want a mega amount of money for him. And his stock, to me, has dropped a little bit. Very, very disappointing last season playing for PSG. And very, very disappointing in the World Cup as well, I thought. I mean, yes, we saw little bits and bobs of him, you know, that, you know, he looked decent. But I don't know if he's worth that price that he was before. Still a class player, don't get me wrong. Still, if we could have him, still would be great. But, you know, I don't think Sanchez is our main priority right now. And if Sanchez is the main priority, it would definitely not be Cavani. Tango771 says, I'm a Liverpool fan and I strongly believe that Sanchez is going to Arsenal. I've just watched a video where well-respected Liverpool journalist is talking about how Liverpool fully expects Sanchez to Arsenal. It's what everybody's expecting at the moment. It's whether it's going to happen. That's what we're going to have to wait and see. This is World Cup Daily for today. Looking forward to the big game tonight. Don't forget you can go onto our match predictor and on our app if you haven't already downloaded our app, and you can predict the score. And don't forget to keep, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to Arsenal Fan TV. Listen, we're working on some massive things for the new season. We're going to be bringing you so much more in the new season. So make sure you subscribe to Arsenal Fan TV. And thanks for watching today. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm sticking with my prediction. I'm going for Brazil.